Appreciate everyone's time. My name's Dominic and I represent SANY Australia. For those of you who aren't aware of what SANY is, it's a question that I get quite regularly is what is SANY or who is SANY? And those with more of a global insight will have an appreciation of how SANY is, but for those that don't, SANY is an organisation that was founded in China about 30 years ago in 1989 by four gentlemen. It started out as a welding organisation, and today it's now one of the top three global construction and equipment manufacturers. During its time in the past 30 years, they have exceeded revenues of over $20 billion US, and the company has a wide variety of products from concrete pumps to excavation, mining, crawler cranes, solar and wind equipment. Globally, that has been operating for over 30 years, and here in Australia more recently in the last 5 to 7 years. And what we're embarking on specific to mining is bringing in our hybrid haul trucks into the Australian market from 2026 onwards. The name SANY is actually Chinese. It means 3 ones. And you can see there in the logo, some say it looks like Mercedes logo, but it's actually 3 individual ones relating to the company's goals. And that's to build a first-class enterprise, to foster first-class employees, and to make first-class contributions. That has been the founding commitment from the 4 founders since 1989. And coupled to that is SANY's strategy, which is around about globalisation, sustainability and digitisation. SANY has been embarking on their low carbonisation strategy for a few years. It probably started in the construction business about 2021 and 2023, where they've come up with a number of firsts in the construction industry. But what it's doing is it's actually helped driving SANY to be better at research and development, being more innovative and offering better customer solutions, so that we are a pioneer for ensuring carbon reduction in the years to come. Today we've got a vast portfolio, like I mentioned before, is excavation, pumping equipment, crawler cranes. A lot of our products today are electrified, and a lot of these will be coming to Australia between now and the immediate future. A lot of the items that you see here on the screen in blue are what we have that are electrified today, either full EV or some form of hybrid. We are venturing into new industries, whether that's wind or solar. We do have representatives here today at our stand if anyone needs a little bit more information about that. But because of our research and development in that area, we're embarking pretty quickly. We have a massive resource of engineers behind us supporting that innovation and really trying to drive change, to make the world a better place. The strength of SANY is really underpinned by its engineering resources. We've got a global presence that is working very, very hard in all our products, and particularly in mining as we venture into that space. We have huge ESG commitments, and our mining pathway is really focused on going from diesel to hybrid to full electric, all complemented by the products that we have today and what we are developing in the future. Specifically relating to mining, what we do know is that mining haulage can equate up to about 60% of your mobile emissions. There's a lot of pressure to decarbonate. There's also a lot of infrastructure requirements, and those return on investments still remain very, very high. A lot of the companies that we work with globally have made commitments, whether it's 2030, 2040 or 2050, and we are working with those companies in collaboration to make sure we have something sustainable, something that's profitable to the organisation, but something that's also economic. So how do we reduce that carbon without cutting some of the input that we have today? We know that the charging costs are quite high. Sometimes the distribution method isn't always there, but we see hybrid technology in our mining space as a way to bridge that gap and without disrupting a lot of the operations with some of the expensive infrastructure that's coming forward. the products that we are building, whether they're excavators or mining trucks that are coming towards the future, will come with a modular, upgrade potential. So we might be diesel in one aspect, but the intent is that it can drive towards full EV, or whether other solution may be out there moving forward. With that, the key feature of what we're doing here in Australia to decarbonise, particularly in the mining space, is that we have a number of products that are coming forward that will compete against a lot of the OEMs. But where we see our key advantage towards not only operations but to decarbonising where we are is with our haul truck. Now, back in 2022, 2023, we introduced this into the markets of Eurasia, mainly in Russia, China and Uzbekistan, and we now have in excess of 200 of our SANY SET 150Ss operating globally. The truck here that you see on the screen, I like to call it the double donk with the Duracell, and in simple terms that means it's a mining truck that runs 2 diesel engines with a generator towards a battery with electric motors, giving us that capability to have a truck that has super high performance in terms of its speed on grade, but its power and its output. And the intention of this truck is not to operate slowly as an EV truck, but it's intended for the battery and for the engines to work in tandem through an algorithm so that we can optimise the fuel usage. And I'll show you in a few slides forward how that looks and what we're intending to do. You'll see here it says dual Volvo engines. For the Australian market, the truck will come with 2 engines side by side. They're 2 6-cylinder engines. And the idea of those 2 6-cylinder engines is to reduce your overhaul costs, reduce your change out, but also give us the ability to shorten our lead times when we're manufacturing. So typical manufacturers may have a larger engine, which can generally hold up the production line, depending where that engine may be going, in power systems or in industrial application. But our 2 smaller Volvo engines will give you agility and the ability to change and exchange those engines cost effectively so that we minimise downtime and we optimise the performance of the truck, but also keep the costs down from a running and replacement option. The 2 engines are well known here in Australia, generating in excess of 560 kilowatts. But the truck comes with a lithium battery. It's a CATL battery with a capacity of 445 kilowatts. So with the engines and the batteries working together in tandem, it allows us to have, like I mentioned, great speed on grade, great performance, but optimise what our fuel burn may look like. The componentry in the truck is all built in-house through SANY so that we can keep control of the supply chain, manage the integration with our suppliers, and one of our key suppliers is CRRC, the componentry that's used in the China rail network, high-speed China network. So we use their technology with traction motors and engine management to help optimise the performance of our trucks so that we give our customers a better fuel option. Like I mentioned, we've got trucks running around the world today in Suriname, Kazakhstan, Ukraine and Russia, and what we're seeing is lower fuel consumption anywhere from 12 to 25% in some cases. More recently, we've just put in a fleet into Ghana, and they're seeing around about a 14% fuel reduction in comparison to their previous OEM trucks. The idea here is that this truck is intended to be adaptive to all the mine sites. It's a robust frame. It comes with a very, very solid structure from SANY's engineering background in cranes and heavy haulage. And it's got the ability to recharge itself on downhill grades. In addition to the current 150-tonne truck, we will be introducing the 240-tonne short tonne, 220 metric tonne, and a 288, 290 metric tonne truck, 2026, 2027. They both use the same technology, except the 240-tonne truck will use three Volvo engines powered by a battery, and the larger 320 truck will be most likely 2 Cummins engines powering that. What we're looking at is to try and integrate as much as we can with current operations without disrupting the current mine site it is today. So it's intended to integrate to the systems that customers are using. It's intended to give you real live data and uptime so you can manage your fleet very, very carefully and manage the performance of your truck. And it's also, the biggest part of it is really trying to reduce the total cost of ownership and the overhaul cycle with the dual engines and the componentry that we have today from a diesel electric version. Like I mentioned before, it's important that we have bringing to market a hybrid that is seamless integration. So the width of the truck is intended to be similar to current OEM, so there's no change to haul roads, no change to workshops, no change to towing capacities. It's got smart diagnostics that you can access on your iPhone and integrate that with any fleet management system that you have today. Overall, it's about fuel and emissions reductions, which is what we're seeing. And we know that in some cases we've seen that costs reduced by about $100,000 a year per truck on some of the mine sites that are operating today. With the hybrid diesel system, the recovery mode for energy is through regenerative braking and downhill operations. And with those downhill operations and uphill operations, again, that algorithm will continue to work with the diesel engine to make sure it is optimising fuel performance. And what we do like to see is that performance operate within about a 1400 to 1600 RPM range. This example here, a little bit hard to read, but at a high level, it's real live data from our operation in Suriname. It's running with a Cat 785 and a Komatsu HD 1500. Cat and Komatsu are around about 90 to 92 litres per hour. In our case, we're getting about 71 litres per hour in fuel operations. So quite a big difference, which in this example equated to $100,000 a year in fuel saving per truck. The idea of the, I mentioned before, the system is to really operate in that zone in tandem. And with the way that the fuel mapping and the algorithm works, it's intended to always keep that truck in that optimal zone so that our fuel burn is known. And in these examples that we've seen, it's around about 70 to 80% of the time the truck is operating in the sweet spot, which is where it needs to be. As we get more data and work with that algorithm, we will be able to ensure that we can continue to optimise that truck so it's in that 90 to 100% range running all the time. The other key benefit of the truck is when we have the 2 engines rather than the smaller engines, we can see lower consumption in expected oil usage and in coolant usage, again reducing some of the costs, but the impact to the environment as well, which is ultimately your carbon footprint. As we continue to operate, we will refine these trucks. There'll be continuous improvement and a lot more data sharing just to ensure that the self-learning continues and we can continue to drive that one down. With SANY, I mentioned earlier before, there's a portfolio of products with wind and solar and microgrids. What we're hoping to do long term is to integrate that whole package so that, from SANY you can come to us for a one-stop solution. We are investing heavily in research and development, not just in our truck groups, but across the board. So our goal is going from an efficient diesel process to a hybrid to a full EV solution that is modular by design, that ultimately, you can use the wind, all the microgrids that SANY has on offer to ensure that, you've got full decarbonisation, diesel to decarb, with a vision of zero emissions and, zero compromise. The SET 150 is what we see as a bridge to full EV. It's one of a kind at the moment. We know that there are other models out there that are being developed that can be retrofitted. But the value proposition with us is that because it's kept sort of in-house, we have a low capital cost, we have a low total cost of ownership, and a lower fuel burn that is really intended to support our customers and our operations without the mineral disruption. Again, we've got proven performance. We're ready today. By February, March next year, we'll have 6 of these units operating in the Pilbara region, and we'll be more than happy to share some of the data and a bit of a case study to have a look at. But again, what we're seeing from our operations in Africa and other parts of the world is that it's really starting to stand up itself, and I think it's generating the right signals to give the best performance to the mine. So we're ready for partnerships, we're ready to work together, and we're ready to work in collaboration with anyone that sees an opportunity that wants to lower their costs and work with them. So with that, we like to say that our path towards decarbonisation doesn't start with a leap, it starts with a small step and a bridge. So we want to build that bridge together in collaboration with something that's well known. Thank you very much.